It was early June, the last stretch before summer break. Our junior high in Queens, IS 140 something, was a slab of gray concrete that soaked in heat and spit it back like bad breath. Hallways buzzed like broken lights. The cafeteria smelled like bleach and wet cardboard. Teachers stopped making eye contact around May, like they were already halfway gone for the summer. Walter and I were nobodies, which is to say, we noticed things. Walter noticed patterns more than people. He carried this ripped spiral notebook everywhere and drew maps in it constantly. Subway tunnels, side streets, the school hallways. Except after a while, the maps stopped matching reality. "You ever feel like this place shifts at night?" he asked me once, tracing over the same hallway again and again with his pencil. I laughed at him. A week later, classroom 214 was suddenly between 208 and 209, and nobody else seemed to notice. That was around the time Jerry started talking to us. He was the janitor, mid-50s maybe older. One leg dragged slightly when he walked. His hands stayed buried in his pockets even when he mopped. Sometimes he hummed old songs under his breath while cleaning the exact same patch of floor for 20 minutes straight. One afternoon after school, he caught me and Walter lingering by the vending machines. "You boys ever notice how time doesn't move right here?" he asked casually. Walter looked up immediately. I smirked. "What's that supposed to mean?" Jerry glanced down the empty hallway before answering. "The clocks are all off, not broken, off. Stay too long in one hallway, you lose minutes. Go into the old A-wing stairwell, you come out somewhere else." I waited for him to smile. He didn't. "You think I'm joking?" he said quietly. "That's good. Means your brains still work." Walter closed his notebook. "What's in the stairwell?" Jerry stared at him for a long moment. "Something that noticed us first." Then he showed us. There was a maintenance door behind the gym that neither of us had seen before. Jerry said it used to lead to the boiler room. "Used to," he repeated. The second he opened it, cold air spilled out. Not normal cold, artificial cold, like standing inside an unplugged freezer. The smell hit next. Pennies, ozone, something white underneath both. The hallway beyond wasn't part of the school. I knew that instantly. The walls curved too much, bending inward slightly like softened plastic. Lockers lined both sides, but the metal looked melted. One locker door hung open just enough for me to see dozens of fingerprints pressed outward from the inside, like someone had tried to claw their way free after the metal softened around them. Farther down the corridor sat a classroom with no door. Every student inside was facing the wall, perfectly still. Walter grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "We need to leave." One of the students slowly tilted its head toward us. Not the body, just the head. Jerry shut the door immediately. The bang echoed too long. For a second, I swear the hallway behind us changed shape, too. Jerry leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "Good," he muttered. "You boys still know when to be scared." After that, things started surfacing everywhere. Not all at once. Slowly, like the city had been hiding a second version of itself underneath the first. The Stargate arcade down the block stopped having employees. Only kids remained inside now. Silent kids, pale kids. They sat in front of dark arcade cabinets with their hands resting on dead controls. None of them ever looked away from the screens, even when the machines were off. Walter became obsessed with the place. He started sketching the layout in his notebook. Every time he drew it, the back hallway was longer. One cabinet near the rear wall glitched whenever I walked past. The screen showed familiar places from impossible angles. My apartment building viewed from the center of the street at 3 a.m, the school rooftop from somewhere far above it, Walter asleep in his bedroom. One time the screen showed me standing in the arcade watching the screen. A second later, the version of me on the monitor slowly turned its head toward the camera. We stopped going near that machine after that. At the 7-Eleven, the Slurpee machine churned constantly even when it was unplugged. The sound would start around sunset every evening. One night I checked the freezer door reflection while grabbing a soda. Jerry stood behind me. Except his reflection wasn't copying mine. He was facing the wrong direction, staring deeper into the store, toward the back hallway. I spun around. No one was there. The precinct on 108th Street was worse. Something had gone wrong there long before we noticed. Cops entered in all the time. Nobody ever came back out. The windows eventually turned black from the inside, like someone had painted over them. Sometimes shapes moved behind the glass, but too slowly to look human. One afternoon, Walter and I stood across the street watching the building. "You hear that?" he whispered. I listened. Nothing. "That's the problem," he said. Then the front doors opened. 3 officers stepped outside in perfect sync, not marching, drifting. Their movements lagged strangely like a videotape missing frames. One of them turned toward us. His face looked stretched, not physically stretched, wrongly assembled, like somebody trying to remember what a face looked like. Walter grabbed my sleeve. "Don't let them see you recognize them." We left fast after that. That night, Walter filled almost an entire notebook with maps. Not street maps anymore. Patterns, connections, lines running from the school to the arcade to the precinct to the subway tunnels beneath Queens. "It's spreading through places people pass through," he said. "Places where people wait. Places between places." I asked him what he thought it was. Walter stared at one of his drawings for a long time. Finally, he said, "It feels like we're walking on a map someone else is drawing while we walk." We went looking for Jerry the next day. He was gone. His mop bucket sat outside the cafeteria. His key ring still hung on the maintenance office wall. Nobody remembered him. Not the principal, not the teachers, not even the security guard who used to smoke cigarettes with him outside every morning. "You boys sure you aren't mixing him up with somebody else?" the principal asked. Walter looked terrified for the first time since this started. That night he called me at 2:13 in the morning. "I figured something out," he whispered. His voice sounded far away. "What?" "The maps aren't changing randomly." Static crackled on the line. "They're making room." "For what?" But Walter didn't answer. I heard something else instead. A wet electrical humming sound. Then the call disconnected. I never saw him again. His parents moved away 2 weeks later, left most of their furniture behind. The notebook disappeared too. Now, when I pass the school, the windows shift position when I blink. The Stargate arcade still glows at night even though it closed years ago. The Slurpee machine still hums after sunset. And sometimes, if I walk past the precinct too slowly, I can see people standing behind the black windows, perfectly still, watching the street like they're waiting for instructions. Something's happening in Queens. It's stitched to the pavement, flickering behind CRT screens, breathing under fluorescent lights in subway tunnels and old soda fountains. Every summer it spreads a little farther, and every year the city remembers itself a little less.